3, 2, 1.
New York, NY. Launch Pod starts now.
Welcome to the New York Launch Pod, the New York Press Club award-winning podcast highlighting new startups, businesses, and openings in the New York City area. I'm Hal Cooper-Smith, and in this episode, we speak to Natalie Kathleen, the founder of Jibs. Jibs is a shoe company with a fun design and classic silhouettes for men and women. How did this design come to be? Sometimes it's about coincidence and circumstance. Here's Natalie.
He's my Jimmy Choo. He could create what I wanted just by giving him some ideas and creative direction, and very simply, he would come out with a new product.
In this episode, you will learn about the journey of Jibs from Brazil to New York City and what exactly a Jibs shoe looks like, because I didn't want to tell you for a reason. But before we begin, if you do wind up liking the Jibs shoe, Natalie has graciously offered New York Launch Pod listeners 25% off their first order using the exclusive code NYLaunch, and that's in the episode description. It's not an affiliate code, so all the savings goes to you, but if you're anything like me, you're going to want a lot of Jibs in a lot of different colors. So let's find out why and go to the interview. Stepping on to Launchpod, we have Natalie Kathleen, the founder of Jibs. Welcome, Natalie.
Hi, thanks, Hal. It's great to be here.
So you are the founder of Jibs and the Jibs Life. Tell us more about that.
Correct. The Jibs Life, one great life to be living. The jib itself is something that has been a really fun moment of the last couple years. And the jib being a shoe, a perforated leather shoe based around a Brazilian beach, playful, jump around, splash around, still wear it out for dinner type shoe. And a couple years ago, it landed in my lap at the very well-timed moment. And today I've taken that one shoe and built a business that's giving a lot of fun to myself and a good handful of people. It
landed in your lap?
Well, it landed on a dinner table. And I was at the dinner table.
Who throws a shoe?
My really good friend from Brazil with a history in footwear, funny enough. And it was a table, we were back in Vancouver, where we're both from, very serendipitous that we were both there. He's living back in Brazil, I'm living in New York. And he pulled the box from under the table and said to most of the girls at the sit down and said, "Who's a size 7.5?" I put my hand up. And everyone kind of laughed when the box opened, and it was a pair of flat sneakers, because at that time I was the queen of high heels. And quickly after, he said, "Hey, actually, Natalie, that's so funny. Remember my nephew that you met when he was learning English in Vancouver when he was 15. A couple years later, he's now in his early 20s, and he made this shoe as a first prototype in the basement of his dad's factory." And so that obviously had me listening, and I said, "This is amazing. I can't believe, wow, how time goes, and how's his English going, and I'm going to wear this pair of shoes in New York. It's great timing. It's summer, it's hot." And from there, I took it to New York. I did exactly that. Up and down the West Side Highway, riding my bicycle. Great airflow through these perforated leather holes. And it was really quick that people, either mostly at the gym where I was wearing them to, or on the street, first noticed, what's that van? Where's that sneaker from? Very recognizable, but also quirky enough that it got a ton of attention. And then it just so happened a couple more people started saying, "Oh, that's one of those Brazilian shoes." And so at that point in my career, it was a moment where I was like, hey, this is a product, someone's making it, people recognize it, it's got a story to it. Let's listen to what they're saying. And so at that point, these couple of friends that were based through New York, we called up my WhatsApped my friend and said, "Hey, can Zaki," his name is Zaki, if you go to our website, you'll see a lovely video with him down in the factory. Can Zaki make us a few pairs, men's, women's, in all these colors and a size of each for all that. And we hosted a party on a rooftop in Chelsea. And as I said, you can't really have a product with a brand. The first shoe was navy on top and white on the bottom, a classic sort of trainer white, and very nautical. We said, hey, it's like the jib of a sailboat, where it's a journey, and the jib is the frontmost sail on a sailboat that takes the wind and sets your direction. So already this shoe has traveled to Vancouver, from Brazil to New York, and we're going to bring more. And all these people that are our friends sort of network that we're going to host this party, they're all going to take them on their travels and tell us where they've taken them. So that became the jib of the Jibs Life that you live, and the Jibs journey that you take yourself on. And so, yeah, we hosted the party. We sold a ton of shoes, and much more to say.
How long have you been on the journey for?
The journey, I will say, it's such a journey. 3 years ago was when that first shoe landed in my lap. So it's been quite a journey. A lot has happened from that first party into where we are now in distribution model, in business model, in team, in, my goals of the business.
So you had the first party on a Chelsea rooftop. You got some orders. People were happy. Then what did you do? Then
I said, holy crap, this is a product that I have done no R&D. I realized that down in Brazil, not only is Zaki, the friendliest, nicest family guy, kid, he's my Jimmy Choo. He could create what I wanted just by giving him some ideas and creative direction, and very simply, he would come out with a new product. And so I don't know if anyone's familiar, but Jimmy Choo is the cobbler that was originally in the undergrounds of London, and Tamara Mellon, she saw him making shoes for Vogue magazine and then curating all this great stuff that she said, hey, I bet more people would love the shoes that Jimmy Choo can make. So let's create a business and sort of spread the news around the world. And so it was one of those moments that I said, aha, this is a similar concept, but I've got the Jimmy Choo of sneakers sitting in front of me. And so I really took a moment to sit back and say, what do I want with this? What can it be? And how can I achieve that? And so, like I said, we were selling and we were taking a lot of things coming at us, saying a lot of yeses, and then realized that we had definitely a lot of traction, and I wanted to really define what it is that our mission was.
And so what is the mission now?
What is the mission? It's probably not that far off from the beginning. Having fun while we're doing this is like the biggest mission. And it is said through and through, the feedback that we get from our customers that, oh my God, you guys sound like you're having such a good time over there. And thank you so much for, taking an extra step to talk to us. And really it's the sharing of the stories. And so on the right now front, the sharing is stories of Izaki in his factory that's, down in South Brazil, has its own economic hardships and is able to grow with the help of the global, or mostly right now, American support that we give him. It goes to our customers that they hit us up with all this like, oh, look at where I went. This is who I met. You should meet this people, all those stories and bits like that. And then where it really has taken a great fold is, I always say planting seeds, and the shoe itself, as it came to me, the sole is a recycled PVC. Mostly because just Brazil has amazing sustainability efforts without even asking. And so I called it one of my shiny objects, and what's the right timeline for me really to dive down this? Quick research said that to really go further with the recycled sole concept, we need some volume behind us. We need the right support. We need to be able to act and make an actual real bigger presence to make the reward ourselves for the effort and be able to increase that sustainability movement. And so recently we've had a couple amazing moments where from the UK, a girl with an amazing charity, Ocean Generations, it was Watto, she's with the UN, we're going to do a collaboration project with her. We have surf riders, and I never knew so much was so going on via the surfing community in North America to help so many programs from, corrosions on waterfronts and public use of land and taking plastics out of the water. And so we're also doing something with them to really bring awareness via a product as this new exciting way to say, hey, you can have something that you can put on your feet every day and remind you you're doing something good. As we evolve the business, we have a 98% biodegradable leather that we're looking into. Just any way that we know people wear the shoe just because it's comfortable and it's fun and it's pretty and it looks good and it's stylish. But if it actually cannot create more waste, that's kind of the end mission to get to. And we need both in order to do it.
So you have this great mission that you're focusing on, but just to take a step back, you had this very cool product. What was it like taking it from a cool product to a business?
Oh, well, this is my second branded consumer good or fashion good. So my first business was handbags, leather handbags. I was 21. I have a great backstory. Check out my LinkedIn, from snowboarding to scuba dive instructing to real estate in London and working at Cosmo magazine. And then I end up in Vancouver. I'm 21 years old, bored because Vancouver's not as exciting as London, I'm sorry, and found leather and material and made a handbag. And through that experience, I love a challenge. I'm a very doer person, one foot in front of another. I built a brand that we ended up producing in New York, LA, China, selling nationally, UK, Asia. And through that experience is where I really crafted what my strengths were, which was building this community of people that are passionate. And it needs to have one main goal of what they're passionate about, and then they just love whatever is surrounding it. And so that's where, when I had this shoe in my hands, and I remember actually looking down at it a couple of times, and I'm like, whoa, this just came out of nowhere, but obviously at the right timing, because I could visualize what it was that could take that shoe and turn it into more of a movement of sense, and the community that could really grow quickly. It's that sort of growth with not little effort, but the right effort that was quickly noticed.
And so what was the process? You have this idea, you have the manufacturer.
Jumping on city bikes to deliver shoes in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. No, we have the factory in Brazil. Again, he somewhat not impressive to say that he was in the basement of his dad's factory, but it just was where it was at that time. And so right away, from the volume of orders that we created, he was able to partner with a veteran in export, and he moved himself into a new facility a couple blocks down, and they created enough space for one assembly line, which is just bare minimum, enough machinery and people, and using home sewers and different tools and systems to be able to produce pairs for us. And the biggest thing that has got us to where we are today is that we can make one pair. In footwear, there's a lot that goes into making a line of shoes and a full size run, but we have the ability to make one single pair. So when we were early, no one needed to know that we didn't have deep inventory. There's a little back order, and really we're producing that shoe and we're bringing it in just for you. But really, you might have thought, oh, we just ran out because we weren't there. Or we could jump on opportunities for collaborations and sort of customizing and really try and learn really quickly what was working.
For someone who does not know much about the footwear industry, how are you able to do one pair and other people are not?
Yeah. The biggest thing is fighting for that space on an assembly line. It's expensive to have a factory. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of labor involved. And so in Brazil in particular, as I've got to know their rights and the ways they do things, if you lay off, I don't even know the terms, if you let go of someone at your factory, you owe the government a year of their salary. So being small is very dangerous, because if you ebb and flow, you are out for so much more money. So it's a trust in a big part of it, is that believing the vision and stepping slowly, and even me going down there and helping him find different suppliers and even looking, he produces some stuff for local communities and saying, hey, great, can I give you more clients even? Like, let's grow yours small enough so that you can continue to make single pairs, because it takes more time. And really what he did is, in his faith in what Jibs can become, he said, we'll do a single pair that might take us a lot longer, but that's okay, because we know it's going to get to 2 pairs and then 3 pairs. And that's proven successful.
And then how does that pair of shoes get from Brazil to, let's call it New York or Los Angeles or anywhere?
Yeah. So, from the beginning, we've New York's been our hub. It's where we're mostly based. So through FedEx and UPS and quick shipping has been something, there's amazing different shipping channels you can use. We pay the price. The good thing is we have a great cost. And so we can afford right now, when we're selling direct to consumer, and we've built the company up until now with $10,000 in total, like so little dollars of advertising that we really spend the money on getting the best customer experience. And so that involves this quick turnaround of shipping. And so everything from, I'm sure many Manhattan people have been in and out of mini storages, and locally we would bring the shoes in and ship them out again, and everyone's prepaying for them. So we were advanced the money, so we didn't have to do, I would say, typical lending for a long time. And then it moved into a 3PL warehouse where we do inventory now that we could pre-order, and we could get people ordering pairs of their choice by offering a huge range. We know what's popular. So we can then invest in the styles and the colors that are actually, we have proof in hand that's selling.
And you brought this up, and it was of interest to me, is what it's like doing business in Brazil and having Brazil as a manufacturer.
Yeah. I mean, I always say it's my pride is there. I'll say there's personal level, and then there's a business economical level. On a personal level, Manhattan, I can go. There's never a dull moment, and we all, there's a lot of work hard, play hard, and Brazil to me is play hard or community hard and work to do that. And so on a personal bit, it's been a real game changer to go down. And when I go down to Brazil, I stay with the family of the factory. And the bell goes off in town at 11 a.m. They've been there probably since 4 or 5 a.m. Everyone goes home, whether it's on their bike or in their car, and they sit for lunch with their family. And they just relax. And there's a pause. And then they go back, and I try not to push them too hard to make too many shoes for us while I'm there. But there's this nice hybrid that's the part that I want to travel in each shoe out to people is life. There's one life, and they really value, I think, such simplicity down there. And they work hard to enjoy the finer, I'd say the less expensive things in life, even the free things in life. Look, Brazil is a huge country, and I just have the wishes and desires that it can be what all it can be. There's so many people. There's so much diversity. They're producing amazing products. Their natural resources are some of the best in the world. There's, India buys some of their leather from Brazil and ships it over in tankers. I mean, to me, that I know the leather industry in India is huge, so that's an accolade to their quality of product. It's a little bit unrest down there right now. So we do come across, we buffer in certain timelines that there's this red channel of shipping. And if you just hit the red channel because it's not your lucky day, it's an extra 5 to 10 days that you just wait for that shipment to get through. So as we grow, there's so many things that we can implement. Again, we learn from our inventories that sell well, and we can bring in more earlier so we don't run dry. That's a big part. I've been very grateful to have meet some amazing people in the footwear industry that also are based in Brazil and producing from Brazil. And there's so much I can learn off them, whether it's collaborating on exporting timings or even just knowing the right people, that sometimes that does help in a community that you're trying to export from, like Brazil.
So you talked about the cultural difference in Brazil. The red channel, what does that mean? Oh,
so the red channel is with shipping. So it's literally just the customs agents. And I feel like it's like the Sharpie in your guest book here is they just go, hey, yep, tick the box. Let's put it on the red channel. And it just sits in a corner, and until someone opens it up and says, oh, yep, these are leather shoes destined for New York, and they have the right paperwork, then it proceeds. But there's a little bit of island time, less urgency. And so when it hits something like that, then, it just takes time, and you can't do anything about it.
What's been your biggest challenge about working in Brazil?
Probably that shipping part that we say it's the uncertainty. I love uncertainty. I wouldn't be sitting here today if I didn't love uncertainty. But there is that bit of uncertainty that I might love it, but my customer that's going on a trip, and thankfully most are appreciative that we're dealing with an economic problem if this does happen, but they want their gold shoes for their trip to the Maldives. And so, we
Who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't, exactly. They make it so much better. And so, so I'd say the logistical part of that has been one that's been a moving moment.
So we've talked a lot about the shoes, its manufacturer, how it came to be. Can you describe the aesthetic of the shoe? You've touched on a little bit, but
That's true. That's true. We don't have a visual here. I mean, you can definitely go to
Link-
jibslife.com.
We'll link there and we'll have photos. But, for the listener, how would you describe it?
Yeah, that's a great one. I would say it is a very classic shape of a slip-on shoe. The slip-on is also, we have a high-top version. So we have 3 main silhouettes is what we call them. It would be the core classic jib is your boat shoe. Again, it's a slip-on shoe. Could be recognized as a Van, Vince. There's, it's a style of a slip-on shoe with a rubber sole. The high-top version also could be known as a chukka. It's sort of a mid-rise high-top. We put an elastic lace on it so you can actually slip your foot in and out, because the whole concept of the shoe is it's super easy. The third style is definitely the other edge of our design ethos, which is a little more stylish. And on the trend side is our slim jib, aptly named because it's a slimmer silhouette with a pointy toe, very feminine. It's definitely been a different marketing channel. And when we brought it out, surprised people, and many have said, once I go slim, I don't go back to classic. But again, this is 3 shapes, so all about staying right focused in a lane. We have so many colors, so you can have the leathers or the metallic leathers. We have pony hair on, super soft and touchy. But the concept is we've found a fit that feels good. And it's that people are coming to us, and when you wear it, it's the kind of, again, a little quirky but natural look, but it feels so good that you come back. And so we want to continually always be on the front of the outfits that we put on it. So if it's colors or toe caps or, who knows, I won't say the things that are in the works, to sort of just change it ever so slightly that you're still, it's like your go-to shoe, but we can spice it up.
I'm glad you're not saying them. So how did you come up with the different silhouettes and the different aesthetic?
So from the beginning, the one thing to note is this is a unisex shoe, or co-ed shoe is something, because we do have the sporty side of the product. And so men and women, we also do kids. They start at a kid's age 10 in the US. And we felt that it's a shoe that people who are active, whether that's active traveling, active athleisure would be our thing. If you're on the go, it's been called your shift shoe by W Hotel. It's been the perfect transitional shoe from day to night, which is so what everyone's doing right now. At the same time, it's really been interesting to see who's buying it. And that's the best way that we've discovered that our customer core is 25 to 35. They're city dwellers. They are on airplanes often. They go to the gym. We are very communicative with our customers. And so we find this stuff out from literally the people that are wearing it quite often, whether it's calling them up or emailing them and saying, hey, this is, what do you do? I mean, we also have the Facebook and the social media data that can solidify it, but it's really nice to know that this is actually who's wearing the shoe.
25 to 35 on an airplane often.
The other side that would be our secondary audience, which is very strong, and it's very strong in another distribution model that we've introduced recently, would be the 45 plus. Again, it is comfortable. And so there is this amazing, the mums, the grandmas, the grandpas, the gardening shoe, the dog walking shoe. We have so many names to what this shoe is. Again, it usually sits around an activity. So we do like to come back and say it's not necessarily the age. The data can tell us there's certain ages that are buying them more, but it's the experience they're in them. So they're people that are active. They, it's the in between your sports, the on the way to go out to the beach. It's what you're doing in them.
Do you have plans to introduce different silhouettes?
There's 2 thoughts. We're chatting at a, always pivotal. How many times do the business model change in certain aspects? There's 2 ways we could go right now. Our core styles are really working. They're always going to be one main silhouette. I think if I look at any other footwear brand in particular, footwear being an animal of its own outside of accessories, outside of apparel, there's a key staple. I mean, Steve Madden, he had a key shoe. Is it the key one now? No. So for now, our focus is to stay as close and tight to our core product. At the same time, if that's our 80%, that 20%, is the part that I kind of love on the creative side, is going to be all sorts of stuff that still is going to have the DNA of what we are. It's going to look and feel and act with a similar DNA, but ideally it's going to be totally different, so that as trends change, as, maybe our customer age, they grow, maybe they stay with us rather than refreshing another 25-year-old crowd, that our brand can stay with them as they mature or come up with new styles of their active life.
Well, footwear is an animal. It seems that way. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because maybe it's in footwear, maybe it's in other fashion items, but it seems like once something kind of hits as a trend, it seems like that's when the copycats jump in. And how are you going to prevent copycats from coming in?
Absolutely. This is why I love the shape of footwear that we are, is the classicness. People can copy what we're doing. They are. There's a lot of different styles out there. It's why we're so focused on the energy around the shoe, or the feeling that you have wearing it, and the community that it's building. At the same time, it's a numbers game. It's a quick to market game. It's why we're doing what we do and partnering with the right people and bringing a bit of speed to market that we've been able to do on the small level. The next stage is how quickly we can get Jibs as the forefront addictive sneaker shoe for summer into the stores. And there's a certain part, again, I use this shiny object at a certain place, we knock ourselves off. We create another product tier line that can be that affordable, lower price point that maybe would be the easy prey for some of the bigger footwear suppliers. Luckily, with my background in manufacturing and my love of leather goods, it's always toyed, and I did a small collaboration capsule collection with my handbag line, was my first entryway. And again, the animal was so strong that I said, oh, shoot, let's just hold for a sec. I'm going to focus on handbags. But I am, my eyes open to watch what happens in the footwear. And so I've been out to India and I've met a lot of factories there. Every time I go to the trade shows, I speak to different suppliers. I have, all the different areas we could go. And it really is, for now, what I see. Again, I'm going to go back to a Zaki, even more than the factory down in Brazil, is I have a product manager, director who understands the shoe we're creating, that we could take that product and put it into many of the other factories nearby in Brazil, which is our first choice, to keep the economy down there and all the production. And he could create that feeling that we have that is different than the other competitors, that and the other products that I have factories send me products, and bring that feeling there. We could also move it into other territories if, say, Brazil's economy doesn't show well in the next while. We have opportunities to move it around. So I think it's up to us as a company and a brand to stay in our DNA and to really keep focusing on our brand and what our vision and mission is, while at the same time we are always looking out for other manufacturing opportunities and sales opportunities to, like I said, even be our own competitors in that sense of different levels of market.
So that's one threat, is the copycat. It's always the threat.
Always.
The other threat in fashion, it seems like, is if you hit on something, you have a big bump, you're on trend, and then that trend goes away. You're kind of like that one-trick pony or anything else like that. How are you going to stop yourself from being, just riding a wave to the top and then crash?
Exactly. And that's the point that I stuck on with, really owning what it is that people are coming to us for, and understanding that we might today all love one of our exact styles or our exact customers, but by also always in the background be iterating off different versions of what we do really well at, we're able to then plant those out as the market might be shifting. And so, there's other ways I love a good upsell. One of my first jobs was at a restaurant. Adding different toppings to your pizza definitely helps that bill go up and your tip go up higher. So, even little add-ons, if, we're really feeling a great response to the travel aspect of this shoe. So being able to add other travel small good pieces. We've had requests for bags, being my background as well, different products that fit within our brand is a great way to also keep that consumer, because they might not need another pair of jibs. They do like every color, and we have a very, very, very high multiple purchase rate. At the same time, if they can, add in a sunglass holder to go around their neck while they're sailing on a boat, because that's similar and it's on brand, that's another way to sort of keep people around as we test out the new styles.
And we didn't talk about this until you brought it up, but the different colors. Talk about that, because you have a wide variety of colors.
This is fun. Right now in business where you can be online, there's so much opportunity when we can match how quick and nimble a direct-to-consumer marketplace, and even actually some of the wholesale accounts that we have, with a quick-to-market factory. So everything from, someone, if it's a customer or a client at a store that we really feel is a good, strong brand partner, and they say, but only if you had forest green with a yellow sock liner. The next day we can put that forest green shoe, or actually within 5 minutes, we can put that online. And our customer is already quite used to waiting 5 to 8 weeks for the exclusive, and quote unquote, exclusive colors that we don't inventory. And so within seconds, we can put that online. They then purchase it, and the factory produces it. They have about 10 days to produce it, and we get it to the customer before that 5 to 8 week window. So it's been really fun, and it's a way that, again, right now, probably if you go on the site, we have quite a few colors, and we're just really in a testing moment of, okay, what colors stick? And also, who knows what time this actually, you listen to this podcast, but it depends what moment. Sometimes people don't like choices. So we also want to cut back and limit the choices. And if you really like rose gold, you know what? In 2 weeks, you probably won't see it on the website. We're going to take it down, because we want to try and figure out, how do we create an excitement? People want what they can't have. Our last count was about 60% of our first purchases are for 2 pairs. 1 pair is from the swatch selection that shows that it delivers right away. It doesn't have a note. The second set of swatches you can click on and the shoe changes color will say 5 to 8 weeks delivery. Again, these orders that are coming in for 2 pairs is one that they're going to get right away and one they're going to wait for. So you get the immediate happiness of, oh my God, I got to try this shoe. And then you also get, I have a special one. And so the customizer, that is something that we have not even a very good one on purpose of, okay, let's just see if people like it. And we get people customizing different color soles, different color laces. You can put a lining in the shoe. It's not our core style, but New Yorkers that are in the winter and it's cold, a shoe with holes is probably not your best bet. So we do that for the locals. And as we grow, we have the early data that says, okay, people want that. So as we want to create more seasonal collections that can deliver with many windows throughout the year, which a lot of our customers will want, we can grow those stronger.
Are you sold exclusively online, or can people pick them up in stores?
So interesting you asked that. It actually is very recent that we have partnered with a distributor that is helping us get into some amazing small boutiques around the country. And it was a big decision. There is a strong want in myself at the beginning of this company to sell only online. I thought it is so sexy to have a product that is only online, this digital, our profit margins are awesome. It costs a lot to sell online, but it's also amazing how we can touch each customer. And I'd say that last thing is actually the biggest part, is touching each customer. But I had a great introduction to a very shoe dog seller of footwear across the country. And it really naturally came in part that we started showing the shoes at the trade shows across the country. And very quickly we're getting snapped up by boutiques that we could deliver immediates into, and talking to some of the larger stores about plans on how do we really share the story to the customers. I'm the kind of person where I don't just want to see the shoes on the shelf. I wanted to also have an engaging moment. I believe there's an infectious thing when you create, an environment that shares this journey I keep talking about. And so we have some fun, different ways that we could get the shoes into stores and also have the experience involved.
What are some of those ways?
Yeah, I mean, as simple as I always like to lead by example. Anya Hinmark did a wonderful job at this with Barney's is build a bag. And so, again, because we're capable to have our components, very organized where you could add this toe cap and this different detail, and it only takes a couple weeks to get the shoe, we could do a customized shoe experience. Just like our website, we would also have our most popular styles on inventory, but it would be a great way to have our team be able to interact with the customers and also still be able to, the animal side of shoes, still be able to export a lot of product into people's homes and onto their feet.
So you talked about that moment. How are you also building that community which you talked about?
We really started by finding other communities that fit our vibe. And so our first ones were Equinox, W Hotels. Those were the two sides, the fashion, travel, or three sides, fashion, travel, and active communities. And so through that, we've partnered with other different organizations, everything from the WeWorks of the world, where we have the best experience at the beginning, trialing what we like to dub our Jibs tastings. And so we have Jibs pairings and Jibs tastings, very much like you would go to a winery. And if you're going for a tasting, you're going to see all their array of products. So those would be ones where Jibs just come in and we have our shoes, our latest styles on display, and you can try them for size and you can talk to someone and get a sort of an idea of what it's all about. The Jibs pairings have also been fun with like products. So great sports pants or other handbags or travel companies. And we go in and we pair and say, hey, this is a great product that works alongside what you're doing. And so those have been ways that we look at what communities are out there and how do we share it with one or two people within that community. And then it just flies. It's amazing to watch how one thing leads to the next, to the next, to the next.
How much money did it take to start the company?
Shipping the shoes from Brazil was the first bit. I personally built I think it was a Squarespace website first, and then we moved to Shopify. We took photos of us wearing the shoes, cut our heads off so you wouldn't know it was the founders. And yeah, so really it was very little at the beginning, and we pre-funded ourselves. Like our independent Kickstarter, people paid for them before they're delivered. And because we had a profit margin worked into that and we weren't advertising, we soon had a pool of money to start growing. We've had a very little bit of friends and family for specific needs, reached out to a couple people and they helped us out. But we're just going through a stage now, looking for fundraising, a seed round. At the same time, I love when I put something out there and other things come in. There's, more strategic opportunities that we're also looking at. So lots of decisions to be made in the next months.
And what do you want Jibs to become?
Oh, the funnest, most enjoyable shoe that everyone in the world wears.
Everyone wants.
Everyone wants.
That is a wonderful note to end things on. Natalie Kathleen, how do people find out more about you and Jibs?
Yes, that's a great question. Please go to jibslife.com, and very lucky listeners, you can use NYLaunch at the promo code on checkout, and you'll get 25% off your first Jibs purchase.
Well, listeners are very lucky to be listening to this podcast, and they are especially lucky to have a 25% off code. Thank you very much, Natalie Kathleen, for that discount for our listeners. And thank you for sharing your time with us and stepping onto the New York Launch Pod.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
If you want to learn more about the New York Launch Pod, you can visit us at nylaunchpod.com for transcripts of every episode, including this one. And you can follow us on social media at NYLaunchPod. And if you are a super fan, are you a super fan, Natalie?
I am a huge super fan.
If you are a super fan like Natalie, you can leave a review on iTunes and Apple Podcasts. It does help people discover the show, and it is greatly appreciated.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the New York Launch Pod. For more information, please visit nylaunchpod.com.